that young man, there are probably thousands, right? Right? There are probably thousands. Nobody, that's what I'm saying, you're incurious about the forces that determine your day-to-day life. Nobody has talked anything, nobody has spoken anything about the educational system. There's never been any mass movement around. This is what we want. As we speak now, there's all this noise about 20 billion minus 64 billion from NNPC. There's, as we speak, yesterday, 67 people were killed in Jos. Right? You don't get a sense that the Nigerian community itself, the country itself, is actually concerned with the vital signs of the nation itself. So the alienations on multiple levels. The other thing that is also interesting is that the so-called youth themselves are not as consolidated as you were saying. It's a wide spectrum of young people, right? There has to be some kind of intra-generational cohesion. The other thing that is happening to the political class, you are right, they haven't stopped consolidating their power, which can be framed quite simply under the business of state capture. A small band of Nigerians have captured all the levels of power. Understand it as a system. And guess what they're doing now? They're perpetrating that same system through the political dynasties they're building through their children. Oh, by the way, these are your peers. Right? There's an interesting one unfolding in Lagos State even as we speak. Up north, Mohammed Abacha, the son of the reviled dictator, has a very strong followership in Kano. And you're sitting down here thinking that somehow the system is going to change. The people who have been running this system understand it to the point where they know that you guys are pathetic. But there's something that's going to happen, right? You can only push but so much. My own fear about the Nigerian youth is not so much a systemic pushback, but an explosive pushback that brings everything crumbling. And it's going to happen. If we're not very careful, it is going to happen. And we're all sitting down here, we're all going to be collateral damage. Right? Because, oh, by the way, all the youth to yourself. That's what you think.
Do we call in a doctor?
I just feel like something similar had happened before. If we remember well, the Occupy Nigeria, it was the first time in my life that I would see youths actually speak up.
But was it the youth that actually started?
I do not want to say that it is not the youth. I would to a large extent agree that the youth actually made it happen. Because if we had left it to just the elderly people, they would, after 1-2 days, they go hungry, they go back home. But, you know, I attended one of the rallies, and in all honesty, I saw that if these people actually had a young person to motivate them, the way it was done then, when I saw people at Ojota really going very hungry, but would not just leave that point until somebody hears us, until somebody listens to us. But you know, like I said earlier, I said the system is really, really, really bad. It's so bad that after staying for like 4 or 5 days, things are just not responding. I mean, you shut down a whole economy for 5 good days and nobody is concerned. These people are saying when you guys go hungry, you will go back to where you came out from.
Which is exactly what this older man had pointed out to you, that your shirt or your jacket is black. And you know, it's obvious that it's black. And when you now find out that it's come back to you, you're still going the same way, carrying on with the black. You're doing nothing about changing it to white or green or brown.
You remember
I have to go on a break.
Oh, okay.
Okay, just before we go on that break, I have some tweets here. At Rahmanti says, Nigeria stands a better chance when the youth can stop politics of self-gain and be disciplined. At La_Smart says, Nigerian youth rely on the elders for change. Many have got no value-driven mind, so they chase pecuniary interests. Erahomo says, Nigerian youth want to step into leadership, but where there's no jobs, they will remain suppressed. Okay, well, that's where we'll have to leave that and take a quick break, and we're back to continue. Please don't go away. All right, welcome back. We're still discussing that question, positive change. Have Nigerian youth sold out? And have quite a number of responses that have come in here. His Grace Tobash says, Nigerian youth have to fight for their place in government because these old guys are not ready to go. So we have to fight them to leave. That's His Grace Tobash. At Mimi Oao says, he or she's wondering why we didn't use the Gen Voices people. I don't know. At Only Networker says, I guess we the youth have zoned and sold out. What have Herman Hembe, Dimeji Bankole done with given opportunities? That's a question you'll have to answer. At Olawale Stephen says, the main problem facing Nigerian youth is intellectual laziness and penchant for excuses. Son of God says, the way a child is trained is the same way he or she will grow up. In other words, they are not getting proper training from you, the elders. Val says we need to overhaul the labor laws. If great-grandfathers are still on the trail with their great-grandchildren, there's a huge problem. His Grace Tobias again says, IBB said it one time that the Nigerian youth are not set to take over. It's up to the Nigerian youth to say that it's not true and take their place. At Senwele says, should try not to use the word give in any form. That is talking to Dr. Ayotunde. Says, for the duration of today's program, at Faceoff today and at Dr. Ayotunde, should try not to use the word give in any form. I wonder, David Okoji said Nigerian youth need to take their destiny in their own hands.
Absolutely.
Yes, 3 things he talks about: lack of vision, lack of history, and dereliction of responsibility to God.
You know what an elderly person just did? He just gave us a wake-up call, serious wake-up call. He's an elderly person, and he just told us that those are the 3 problems.
But do you agree with him? Do you agree that you lack vision?
Like I said earlier, it's not like we lack vision. I mean, when you're hungry, what do you do? What kind of vision?
Yeah, someone said a penchant for excuses. You have this. The Nigerian youth has this penchant for excuses, always looking for one way to exonerate himself or herself.
You know, when we look at that word youth, it's not an individual thing.
Yeah, we're talking. It's like a blanket thing.
It's a blanket thing, and when you're looking at even the ones that have vision and try to push out their vision, what have they been able to do? Someone said I shouldn't use the word give anymore. Okay, let me say take now. We've tried in our own little zone to take what belongs to us.
Can I just interject?
How well have we been able to actually do that? Now, the thing is this. One individual needs to spark up this revolution. And once it's started already, the truth is the old people have children too who are part of this youth, who they've been until children start waking up one morning and then they begin to curse their parents. Daddy, if you steal it will not. And then we begin to rain curses on these people and let them know that, come, I am one of these people. This change won't come.
Okay, so before you come in, the question said, what did Herman Hembe and Dimeji Bankole, these are youth that were in leadership, what did they do with the opportunities given to them? And you talked about youth right now that are serving one capacity or the other, as special assistants, as personal assistants to some of the leaders today. As handlers of the leaders, what have they been able to do? Have they been able to advise their principals effectively?
These people you mentioned, let's be honest with ourselves, who are they? What kind of youths are they? How did they get to where they got to? These are questions we should answer. Are they the youths that were picked from the street because of their intellectual rigor, or is it the trend that has always been?
To have intellect?
Yes, some of them do. Not everybody. You cannot generalize. A couple of, some people are sold out. Like you said, that was why I said initially. Some have sold out because now.
All have zoned out.
Have been zoned out. Let's look at it that way.
Is it true that they have been zoned out? They didn't zone out.
Well, I think it's zoning out on 2 levels. Yes, the system has conspired to zone them out, but they themselves, in terms of their own mindset, have just kind of switched off, right? Nigeria, so you have a couple of things happening, on the, should I say, on the supply side, the system has zoned you out. On the demand side, you zoned yourself out. So you're totally zoned out. But let me just take a little bit of one of the things you're talking about, youth doing things on their own, in their own little pocket, in their own small way. You cannot change a system by doing little things in your own small way. You have to be able to scale up to the nature of the problem. There's a necessary economics of scale, which again I say you have quantitatively speaking, because 120 million of you are young people. So you have the quantum to do it. So the idea is, how do you scale up to meet the challenges of the youth? The other thing about these 3 points I've said, I think I'd like to add a 4th one, based on your question, your questioning of what have the politicians done and those young people. And I think, understand what it is you're dealing with. You've inherited a morally bankrupt nation, right? Okay, that has absolutely lost its own moral bearings and its moral compass, right? And so this is what you've inherited. The question now becomes, what are you doing about it? You necessarily have to have, in addition to vision, determination, all of that good stuff that will make you change the system, a moral compass. So you now have, in addition to all of that, Nigerian youths in whatever, unwashed, homogeneous aggregation you might deem them, are immoral. They have lost their moral compass. And it's worse than being immoral. Immoral means you know what is right and what is wrong, but you choose to do wrong. Immoral means you have absolutely no clue. So there are 4 things you now have to contend with. Unless you discover that moral center, right, or purpose that now directs you to say, you know what, this system is bankrupt. It is morally bankrupt. For us to be able to fulfill our own destinies over the next 2 or 3 generations, we have to redesign the moral framework of engagement of this country. We have to rediscover our own moral center. And ordinarily you might think you'd find it in the churches or all the other religious institutions, but even that itself is morally bankrupt. So it's a perfect storm of challenges, but does not mean that you cannot do it.
You're closing now. One word. You're closing now.
Am I closing now?
Your closing statement.
Oh, I am? Oh, okay. One word, there's still hope, but you have to get one word. Organize, don't agonize.
Okay.
One word. Closing. Wake up call. Do exactly what he has said. Organize, harmonize. Let's unite and deal with these old people.
Oh, deal with the old people.
I'm feeling beleaguered now.
All right, Mr. Tunji Lardner, thank you for coming on the show.
It's my pleasure.
Ayotunde Alao, thank you for coming on the show. And you out there, let's see if we can take 1 or 2 of your comments. We're almost out of time. This person says, the youth of this generation can't be trusted to lead this country because of their corrupt nature. An average youth of Nigeria likes money more than the country. That's coming from Lord Mayowa. And Monchal says, in Nigeria, both past and present, the youth have been treated not fairly relative to the scheme of things towards national development. It's become a deliberate policy to shut them out. As an instance, there has never been a minister of youth affairs that was or falls within the youth age bracket. Even the political parties use old men as youth leaders. They are not being encouraged to participate in issues that concern them. Again, what provision is made for them in the proposed national conference? We, the youth, I want to believe, have really sold out. The attitudinal positive changes that are necessary ingredients of good leadership are declining in us. That's coming from Murphy 2012. Well, that's so much we can take. Mondo, thank you so much for letting us be a part of your evening. Till we bring you another edition of the program, have yourself a good night.